Swinging a ground ball, stabbed by Folk. He has it. He underhands to first, and the Boston Red Sox are the world champions. For the first time in 86 years, the Red Sox have won baseball's world championship. Can you believe it?
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Fenway Files. So, as I mentioned in the introduction video, I planned on producing the first video basically the same day as the channel started. So obviously the intro video just explains who I am. So for those of you who did not watch it, my name is Tyler, and I have created my very own Red Sox podcast because I basically lost all of my hobbies and I need something to do. So just take the thing that I'm basically the most passionate about and combine it with the technology. I have some nice microphones, some other cool stuff. So I just feel like this would be an awesome way to be a part of the Red Sox community, while also just getting all of my thoughts out, because I live, breathe, and die by however the Red Sox do. And when we do good, I'm great. 2018, best year of my life. Sort of. The last couple of years, not so much. So, today's video, we are going to be looking at a recap of first last season, because we need to know how we got here. And then we will be doing a quick recap over what we did in the off season to be better. Because your goal as a Major League Baseball team, unless you are the Marlins or the White Sox, is to get better. So, before we begin, I do have one quick announcement. We are now officially on Spotify. We are also on YouTube podcasts, and you can also find my socials on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X. All three of those are simply just the, capital T, Fenway, capital F, Files, capital F. So that will be linked in the description of this video, or it will be, again, it's just at the Fenway Files for all three of those. So that will be another way that you could watch these videos. So, last season was something, because myself, along with hundreds of thousands of other Red Sox fans, thought that last season was going to play out differently. For a couple of different reasons. We kind of started off tough stretch. Let me just pull up the schedule really quick. I thought I was prepared. I thought I had everything ready to go. What happened? Okay, you know what? That's fine. There was a lot of struggles during the first month of the year. I remember the first stretch, first 2 weeks, we really struggled to get out of the gate. And then April, we picked it back up. May did okay. June, we started to really catch fire. Then we hit the All-Star break. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I love me some good home run derbies. Okay? The All-Star break killed all momentum that this team had. Okay? So that is kind of a brief overview of the first part of the season. I want you to keep in mind, when the All-Star break started, right, the Red Sox were 54-43. We were 11 games. I'm sorry. Yeah, 11 games, 11-10, over 500. We were in a playoff spot during the All-Star break. What happened after the All-Star break? We ran out of gas. Plain and simple, we did not play the same after the All-Star break. And we never recovered. We had basically no momentum going into September, and it's the reason why we didn't play in August. Now, that's kind of a recap of the season as a whole. We went from being 11 games over 500 to having to win the final game of the year against the Rays to break 500. Okay? That's how bad our fall off was. Our final month, we went 11-15. Okay? We didn't string more than 3 wins in a row for basically 3 months. We ran into a brick wall. We simply ran out of gas. Our final record was 81-81. 500. That's mid. Our team, in my opinion, last year was not mid. We just simply fell apart. And there are a couple of reasons for that we will get into later on in this video. Now, just because the season clearly did not turn out the way that I wanted it to, that doesn't mean that there weren't good things that happened. So I want to talk about a couple of the good things that happened. I'm not going to talk about everything because it's a 162-game season. There's a lot of good things that happened. And there's also a lot of bad things that have happened. So I'm also not going to talk about all of the bad things either, because if I did, we'd be here until September 1st. Okay? The biggest positive takeaway out of last season was the emergence of Jarren Duran, and it's not even a question. Jarren Duran almost had a 9-WAR season. He hit .285 with 21 home runs, 191 hits, and a .342 on-base percentage. This is a person who at the time had a career 2.3 WAR. All right, so he quadrupled his wins above replacement in one season. Without Jarren Duran, we probably only win 65, 70 games, max. He would have played 162 games if it wasn't for some things we're not going to get into. Because let's just say sometimes there's a hot mic around, you never know, and it doesn't end well for you, and you may serve a 2-game suspension for saying some bad stuff. Needless to say, he almost played every single game. Now, does that mean he was the best player on the team for 162? Not necessarily. He was better the first half. Didn't steal as many bases. He finished with 34 stolen bases for the year. Most of that was during the first part of the season. But he made some adjustments to his swing, shortened up his stance, and kept his hands back a little bit more. And you saw that in the All-Star game. When he hit that home run, he looked confident. He stepped in that box saying, I'm the best player on this field. And I have my own Duran jersey. I personally believe that he is the best player on the Red Sox, position-wise. And I'll get into why I believe that later. So, first and foremost, he was the MVP. He was the highlight of last season. Now, there's another group of people, and I say group of people, that I want to bunch together and highlight their efforts. And that was our starting rotation for the first half of the year. Cutter Crawford, Nick Pivetta, Tanner Houck, Brian Bayo had a phenomenal start to their 2024 campaign. You wouldn't know that if you look at their numbers, but Cutter Crawford had a sub-2 ERA through the first 2.5 months of the season. Nick Pivetta was lights out. Tanner Houck was a all-star, right? So that just speaks to how great he was. Tanner Houck, if it wasn't for his fall-off, would have been top 3 in Cy Young, in my opinion. And Cutter Crawford, I want to stick to the good stuff, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to shit all over Cutter Crawford, was phenomenal until something changed. And then overnight, the long ball was just his worst nightmare, and I'll get into the stats for that a little bit later. Brian Bayo made 30 starts with a 4.5 ERA. Not really what you expect from a person that was your opening day starter that signed this long-term extension, but the big takeaway between Cutter Crawford, Nick Pivetta, Brian Bayo, Tanner Houck is they all made Nick Pivetta made 27, but they basically all made 30 starts. We had almost 4 starters almost make 30 starts. After that, kind of fell apart. But I wanted to highlight our starting rotation because it was so good through the first half of the season. Now, back to one specific player, the emergence of Wilyer Abreu, who was basically the cornerstone of the Christian Vasquez trade from Houston. Now, we also got Emmanuel Valdez, who I'm pretty sure is not on the team anymore. However, Wilyer Abreu emerged as one of the best rookies in baseball outside of Jackson Merrill and a couple of the others, Paul Skeens, obviously. He was top 6 in Rookie of the Year voting for the American League. Won a Gold Glove in his rookie season in one of the hardest right fields in baseball. Hits phenomenally for contact. With some pop, he can sprinkle in a 15 homers, which is phenomenal for your 7th, 8th, 9 dude in the lineup. And I do believe that he can be a staple in our outfield going forward. Now, how we handle the Roman Anthony, Ceddanne Rafaela, Jarren Duran mix in the outfield, that is Alex Cora's decision. It's the reason why he's the manager, and I am not. Speaking of Alex Cora, that brings me to my 5th and final bright spot of last season, and that was re-signing Alex Cora. Now, I have gone to several games. I have been outside of Fenway after a 15-run deficit, after a 15-run loss. He steps up right in front of everybody and says, "That's on me. We'll get it next time. We will be better next time," because he knows he has belief in his guys. He knows even though they lost by 15, they'll still show up the next day and play their damn asses off. And that's the reason why I love the Red Sox, and in particular, Jarren Duran. Not re-signing Alex Cora would have drowned the Red Sox for this year and probably the next 3 or 4 years to come. He takes every single loss like it's Game 7 of the World Series. That game I went to was in the middle of April. He truly cares about winning and building a winning culture in Boston. And I think that is super important because we haven't had that since 2018, since Mookie Betts was traded in 2020. So, those are a couple of things that went really well. Now, what didn't go well? Well, there's a lot that I can pick from. 1 second. Okay, so sorry for that brief delay. Fatherly responsibilities had to take over. So, as I was saying, the things that did not go well. Number one, and it was apparent from the beginning of spring training, our defense, especially our interior defense, sucked. Like, no way around it. S-U-C-K-E-D sucked. And blue. It sucked and blue. We were tied for the worst fielding percentage with the Nationals, garbage disposal of an organization, and the Miami Marlins, another garbage disposal of an organization. We are not the stepping stools for other teams, or at least we shouldn't be. We are the Boston effing Red Sox. You know what that means? You spend money, you play good defense, and you get good pitching, and you hit a lot of fucking home runs over that monster, all right? We didn't have any of that last year outside of Tyler O'Neill's home runs. Our interior defense was putrid. As a whole, our interior defense was so bad, it overshadowed arguably the best defensive outfield in baseball between Jarren Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, and Wilyer Abreu, who basically all three of them, if Ceddanne Rafaela would have played center field for the entire season, all three of them would have been nominated for a Gold Glove, right? We still had a .981 fielding percentage by the end of the year. That is how bad our interior defense is, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to pick on Rafael Devers at some point during this episode. All right. What made our fielding percentage so much harder to come back from is Trevor Story blowing his shoulder out the first month of the season. That created a massive gap at shortstop. Now, keep in mind, Trevor Story is not on this team to be the Colorado Rockies Trevor Story. He is on this team to be the best goddamn defensive shortstop in baseball. And guess what you can't do if you're hurt? Play shortstop. So we had a hole at shortstop. We then asked David Hamilton, don't get me wrong, almost a 4-win player for a dude who barely played on a regular basis. Phenomenal offensively. He could not play second base to save his life. And then we have Rafael Devers at third base. Phenomenal offensive weapon. Was one of the best young offensive talent in the game. His defense is horrible. And we will get into the Rafael Devers, Alex Bregman drama later on because we can't avoid that. Right. So, but he gets hurt. Rafael Devers gets hurt in the first week of the season. Never played the way he usually plays throughout the entire season. If it was up to me, I'm sorry, Cora, but I would have shut him down the first month of the season, fixed his damn shoulder, and had him come back in May, June, July. Right? Those games in April don't fucking matter. If you are not right, do not play. So we have a one-armed Rafael Devers. Story blows his shoulder apart, done for what was supposed to be the entire year. Not to mention Lucas Giolito, who we signed to be our savior in the bullpen, to be our essentially role filler so we didn't have to have bullpen days, blows his elbow out in spring training. Now, Lucas Giolito is a very interesting character because he had a no-hitter on the White Sox a couple years ago. If you look at his stats since then, and I'm actually going to do this really quick, they're horrible. Right? So, he was lights out in 2021. Now, 2021 was 4 years ago. In 2021, 31 games played, 1 complete game. That was the perfect game. The no-hitter. He was 11-9 with a 1.10 whip and a 3.5 ERA. The year before that, it was a 3.48 and a 3.41 in 2019. So it was basically 3.5 for 3 consecutive seasons. Then in 2022, he pitches in 30 games. Fantastic. Awesome. Right? Has 11 wins. His ERA shoots up to 4.90. Right? He starts having long ball problems. He starts having control problems. He loses a tick or two on his fastball. Then 2023 comes around. Plays in 21 games for the White Sox. You know what the White Sox do? They say, we're done with you. Because your ERA is pushing 4 again. He was 6-6 with a 1.22 whip and a 3.8 ERA. Again in 2023, because he got DFA'd by the White Sox. He gets signed by the Angels. He goes 1-5 with a 7 ERA, 6.89 to be exact. 1-5 in 6 games with a 7 ERA. And then to make matters worse, he gets cut by the Angels. The Guardians, who have this phenomenal pitching system, they bring him in. He goes 1-4 with a 7 ERA. He has not pitched consistently good since 2022. Arguably even before that, 2021. We cannot rely on Lucas Giolito to be a starter for the Red Sox in 2025. That is a conversation we will have in another podcast because I'm getting on a tangent about Lucas Giolito and he doesn't matter that much. Right. So, injuries ruined our momentum. And then Tristan Casas breaks cartilage in his ribs. Now, I went to the game the day before he got hurt, and he was doing some weird shit outside of Fenway. Now, he's been a weirdo, painted his nails, walked out into Fenway shirtless. The veterans weren't too happy when he was a rookie. He was swinging a wiffle ball bat outside of Fenway like he was Barry fucking Bonds. All right? And then the day after, he goes down with an injury for basically the entire season. So, the injury bug took Giolito, Casas, Story, one half of Rafael Devers. I'm not even going to go there with Liam Hendricks because he had cancer, Tommy John. That's not his fault. But injuries, and you can sit here and say, oh, well, it's not the team's fault. It is the team's fault if you let Rafael Devers play with a fucked up shoulder for the entire season. That is the team's fault. Okay? Then, this brings me to my next part. You know Lucas Giolito goes down at the beginning of the spring, like a week and a half in. You know what you should do? Pick up the fucking phone and call for a replacement. Call a free agent. Make a small trade. Do something. Instead, what they did was say, you know what? We will have a rotating door of fifth day rotation arms. What did that do? Tax our bullpen. What did we need come September? A good bullpen. Guess what we didn't have? A good bullpen. This is what happens when you try to extend relievers past what they are used to pitching. That brings me to Garrett Whitlock. Garrett Whitlock should never have been put in a starting role. He's proved it the last 2 seasons. His body cannot keep up with the innings. He should be 7th, 8th inning max. Not pushing 75 innings in 2 months. Not starting every 5th day. He is not a starter. He is a prime example of what happens when you try to make relief pitchers into starters. You can't stretch them out like they're damn Play-Doh. Their dude's 27. If you try to stretch out a person who has been a relief pitcher his entire career, guess what's going to happen? He's going to get hurt. And guess what happened? He got fucking hurt. So, to make matters worse, on top of the injury bug, they didn't fix the injuries once they occurred. Casas goes down, we call him Dom Smith. Now, I love Dom Smith. He was a fan favorite last year, but he is not a solution at first base. Bobby Dahlbeck. Sorry for the Bobby Dahlbeck slander, but he is literally the best AAA hitter I've ever seen. Can't hit for shit at Fenway or anywhere else in Major League Baseball. Or honestly, anywhere ever outside of Worcester. I mean, he hit a damn ball 516 feet. All right, that's not normal for a AAA hitter. So, with that recap, all these injuries, no momentum going into or post All-Star break. We lose 15 games in September. We lose any chance at the playoffs. I mean, when I tell you playoffs were on the line the entire month of August, we were 2, 3, 4 games back of a wild card spot. And you know what happens in Major League Baseball when you make the postseason? Anything can happen. The damn Diamondbacks were in the World Series 2 years ago now. All right. Make a push during the trade deadline to be aggressive. They were not aggressive. You cannot tell me that Lucas Sims was an aggressive move. Blow me. All right. I'm sorry. I got a lot of built-up crap from this past season. I got to get off my chest. There were holes this team had. First base, third base defense, starting pitching, relief pitching. We basically goddamn needed everything. Okay? Did we get anything? No, we didn't. Did we make a splash? No. Now, I have a theory as to why that is. Maybe it's a smart theory. Maybe it's a stupid theory. But I personally believe Craig Breslow looked at the Yankees, looked at the Orioles, and said, we're not there yet. I don't want to sacrifice a piece of the future to get 5 more wins this season when it's not going to matter. What I say to that is bullshit, because it does matter. Right? 5 or 6 more wins gets us a damn postseason spot. All I'm going to say. So, we had a lot of needs come this postseason. Because that defense that I ranted about for 5 minutes did not get any better. Okay? It doesn't magically... Rafael Devers can't just magically wake up one day and realize he needs to ground a field a routine ground ball like every other third baseman in the league. Okay? It just doesn't happen like that. Not only do we have to fix that, we need to fix the holes in our rotation. And we have to make up for who we are losing in the offseason. So, something weird happened at the end of the year with Kenley Jansen. I don't want to say he basically gave up, but he essentially left the team before the season was over. They took his name tag down. Cora told him to basically go home. Kenley Jansen is begging to retire as a Los Angeles Dodger, and it's not going to happen. He just signed with the Angels. Doesn't really matter. Right? But the way he left was weird, because that is a veteran closer leaving before the season's over. I don't know. But I'm just going to go through a couple of people, some pretty key, important people that we lost during this particular offseason, and then I will get into the additions, because I do want to try and be a little positive. So, who do we lose? Nicky Smooches. I love Nick Pivetta. When he was good, he was nails. But he was hardly ever good two starts in a row. It was always, he gets 6, 10 Ks, a couple of walks, maybe a long ball. Next outing, 4 innings, 6 home runs, you know the deal, right? Battled with consistency issues. Sticking with arms, we then lost Kenley Jansen. I'm honestly kind of glad he's gone. Don't get me wrong. There's a reason why he's top 5 in Major League Baseball history in saves. Get the fuck off my team. I'm sorry. If you want to leave before the season's over, I don't care if we are down 75 games in the standings. You keep your ass in the effing bullpen. All right? Chris Martin, arguably one of our best relief pitchers from 2022 onwards. I'm not counting Justin Slayton because he had a breakout year. Good for him. Fantastic stuff. But he as in Chris Martin, was a foundational lockdown 8th inning arm where if it was a close game, if it was a 1-run game, Kenley was getting up in the 9th, you knew damn well Chris Martin was getting the ball and he was going to lock that shit down. So we lost our closer, our 8th inning arm, Nick Pivetta, who was essentially our 3rd or 4th day starter, and then our only real offensive threat from the right side of the plate, and Tyler O'Neill. Now, I loved Tyler O'Neill when he was in St. Louis. He was wicked fast, wicked jacked. His dad was a bodybuilder, and wicked strong. Hit a lot of homers, stole a lot of bases, played Gold Glove defense. Came over, led the team in home runs with 31. Okay, what did we do? You're gone. Have fun in Baltimore. So now we have to make up for 31 home runs. Now I will tell you that I was at the game where he hit 2 home runs in the same game as Connor Wong hit 2 home runs, and we basically pantsed who we were playing. I'm pretty sure it was the Orioles, but honestly, I don't remember. All I remember is the damn ball was flying out of the freaking yard. That was on Section 10 night. Shout out to the Section 10 boys. Jared Carabas, Tyler Milliken, all of them. Love you guys. It was a fantastic night, and yeah. But we now have a hole on the right side of our lineup. We have a shit ton of lefties. Rafael Devers is a lefty. Jarren Duran's a lefty. Tristan Casas is a lefty, even though he's hurt most of the season. Trevor Story can't hit. Plain and simple, cannot hit. cannot be a competent major league hitter. So we needed offensive right-handed thump on top of fixing the defense. So, where does that lead us? Overall, we have 3 things that we needed to fix. Pitching, all sorts. Closing, relief, starting. Lost our closer, lost our 8th inning arm. Who's moving where, what's going to happen? We also need offensive talent. And I'm not talking some Joe Schmo schmuck who's probably going to be working at McDonald's. No, Michael Chavis, who I absolutely loved for like 2 weeks. We needed star power. I'm talking Juan Soto, Anthony Santander type star power. And then we needed to fix in our interior defense. Now, I will argue that our interior defense has been bad for the last probably half decade. Now, where does that lead us going into free agency? Because in the offseason, you can do a couple of things. You can sign free agents, or you can make trades. So, for those of you who are not aware out there, there's this generational talent known as Juan Soto, who basically was the only reason why the Yankees were in the World Series in the first place. I wanted nothing to do with Juan Soto being our right fielder at Fenway Park for a couple of reasons. The amount of money he wanted and our already overcrowded outfield. I'm just going to count who we have, and I'm going to include some people in Worcester. Yoshida, who is our DH, okay? Wilyer Abreu, Ceddanne Rafaela, Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony. What is going to happen to the rest of them if Juan Soto comes in to Fenway? Now, don't get me wrong. I would be tits out for Juan Soto hitting 50 homers over the monster by, like, August. I would be all for that. Except he's not a good defensive player. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, he just received the largest Major League Baseball contract in the history of the sport. Okay? $765 million to jump ship from the Yankees to play with the New York Mets. $765. Do you realize you can build an all-star team with that much money, AAV-wise? Right? And that's essentially what the Yankees ultimately did, but we'll go down that route later. So, Juan Soto, we were in the sweepstakes. Do I believe it? Not really. Do I believe that we had a competitive offer on the table? No. I believe we had an offer on the table. I don't believe it was competitive. Breslow probably said, you want 15 years, $650? Go ahead. Right? He's not going to take that. It doesn't help that Steve Cohen of the New York Mets, their general manager, said, take whatever offer you get and tack on $50 million to it, and I will pay you whatever it is. It could be $1.5 billion fucking dollars. I will still tack on that extra $50 million. So that was the biggest offensive talent out there. Now, there were a couple of other options. Anthony Santander would have been great, except another outfielder, I believe he's a lefty, but it doesn't matter, because he is another DH. We have too many DHs on this team already. So, aside from Anthony Santander and Juan Soto, that brings us into the pitching. What sort of pitching is in the free agent market? Well, you got the big 3. Corbin Burnes, Blake Snell, Max Fried. Corbin Burnes, 2 consecutive decreasing seasons with Baltimore. His stuff was not the same as it used to be when he was with Milwaukee. I do have concerns. The fact that he's over the age of 30, wanted a long-term contract, ultimately got one with the Diamondbacks. Thankfully, he is no longer in the division. Corbin Burnes not re-signing with the Baltimore Orioles is probably the reason why we are going to jump them in the division by the end of this upcoming season, because let's just say, hypothetically speaking, it's Game 7 of the World Series. Orioles-Dodgers. Who's picking up the ball? Beats me. So that brings me to Blake Snell. 2-time Cy Young winner. Absolutely filthy damn slider. Sorry. Wicked sinker. Fantastic from the left side. I would have loved him at Fenway. Right? Lefty, got great stuff. Doesn't sign with us, guess where he goes? Yes. The Dodgers, like everyone else. So then, that leaves us with Max Fried. Now, Max Fried was Atlanta's essentially like 2 or 3 behind Chris Sale. They had a lot of other fantastic pitchers come through, especially when they won their ring. I loved Max Fried. He was consistent, inning eating, didn't really get hurt too much. I wanted him on the Sox so damn badly, to the point where I was willing to call him myself. So, where does he go? The New York fucking Yankees. Sorry for all the swearing, but I can't stand them. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I was born in the year 2000. All right, I was born in the middle of the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry. 04, I literally have a picture of A-Rod and Jason Varitek fighting on my wall. All right, I breathe and die by the Yankees' failures. All right, that collapse in Game 5 of the World Series made my day. Okay. So what did the Red Sox actually do? Because we made some huge moves. Franchise-altering moves. So I'm going to look at the free agent signings first, because we made a couple of really big ones. And then we will go over the trade. Right? So, the first free agent signing that I want to highlight is Walker Buehler. Because Walker Buehler made the final out of the World Series against the Yankees, striking out Alex Verdugo. Damn, good riddance to him. Go have fun working at McDonald's. He had a bad season last year. No doubt about it. And then he fixed it in the postseason. He was an entirely different dude. If that's the dude that we're going to get, it's lights out. You have a solid number 2. I would make an argument number 1 if he can stay consistent and if he can hit certain innings marks. But I loved Walker Buehler with the Dodgers for a couple of years. Has a crazy high ceiling. Never really reached it. More recently, the Red Sox said, you know what? I don't care we have Rafael Devers. We need to fix our interior defense. Let's go out. Let's go sign a player that we already have a good relationship with. Alex Cora being the manager of the Red Sox, and none other than, why am I blanking? Alex Bregman. Now, Alex Bregman was on the Astros since 2017. Cheating scandal, anyone? Not going to try to go there. Phenomenal third baseman, phenomenal defender, phenomenal offensive player. He's a better defender than he is offensive player, because when you don't know what ball or what pitch is coming to you, it's hard to hit 40 home runs. But, that being said, I absolutely love the fact that Alex Bregman is a Boston Red Sox. If it was up to me, stick him at second base. I'll get into that drama later. The fact that he's wearing number 2, now I grew up idolizing Dustin Pedroia when he was a rookie. Jerry Remy, rest in peace, his soul. Love me some Jerry Remy. The fact that he's wearing the number 2, he reminds me so much of Dustin Pedroia in his prime. The fact that he puts on the Red Sox uniform literally makes my day. We also signed a very controversial person in Aroldis Chapman. Now, do I expect him to close? Yes, because you cannot count on Liam Hendricks coming off of Tommy John, coming back from having cancer, to be your shutdown closer in the 9th inning. That's what made Kenley Jansen so damn important to this team until he decided to leave on his own. Now, I say controversial. He did some stuff in his past. Everybody has got some skeletons in their closet. But he throws absolute piss missiles. 105. He has the record for the fastest pitch in Major League Baseball at 106.5, I believe. What happens, though, when you throw 106.5? You have zero clue where that pitch is going. He has control issues. That's pretty obvious. What you don't want out of your lockdown ninth inning arm is men on base. If you walk the first two batters, winning runs at second. What happens if you have a ground ball right up the hole? You damn just lost. So I don't know what is going to happen with our bullpen, but Aroldis Chapman, in my opinion, is somebody substantial. He's got the pedigree, he's got the experience, albeit bad experience. Rajai Davis, Cubs home run, but he's got the experience. That brings us to our big trade of the offseason. And that is trading Kyle Teel and others. Kyle Teel was our future catcher for the franchise for none other than absolute pigster Garrett Crochet. Now, Garrett Crochet concerns me in some areas, and I'll get into that in a second. But Garrett Crochet pitched basically 150 innings last year, which is not a lot, and struck out over 200. That is a lot. His stuff is disgusting. I'm talking like bathroom floor of a drive-through Taco Bell kind of disgusting. He knows how to pitch. He is not a thrower of the ball. He is a major league pitcher. He is an absolute stud. Now, the reason why I have concerns is last year was his first full season starting. He was a relief arm closer for the White Sox coming through the system. And my other concern is, I don't necessarily say it's an attitude as in he's a bad person, because he's not. He's a great person. My concern is he told the White Sox he was not pitching until he was signed long-term. What does that mean? Breslow, pick up the phone and extend him now. Okay? Thank you. Because I don't want to hear in August, when we are going up against the damn Yankees, down by one game, he's not going to pick up the ball because you haven't given him a damn extension. You traded your franchise catcher and others. Give him the goddamn extension. I don't care what he wants. Give him your house, all right? Get it done. Okay? But my concern is the fact that he needs to prove himself as a full-time starter. I posted something on my Twitter. If Garrett Crochet pitches 200 innings, the Red Sox are going to make it to the World Series. As long as he's got a sub-4 ERA, we are golden. Now, if he throws 125, that's not going to cut it. Now, I will say that we have a massive amount of starting depth because we made a couple of other moves that I didn't necessarily agree with when they happened because of how early we made them. One of the first moves we made of the offseason was signing Patrick Sandoval. Now, not Pablo Sandoval, not Belt Buster 3000 over there at third base. Patrick Sandoval was a starting pitcher, another lefty from the Angels, who was hurt, who will not be ready until at least the All-Star break. Now, that means that is starting depth come postseason baseball, which is fantastic. Now, Garrett Crochet is your obvious numero uno. He is your opening day starter. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care. Give him the ball. I would put Tanner Houck at my 2 because Walker Buehler showed flashes last year, but Tanner Houck was lights out. So, Crochet, Tanner Houck, Walker Buehler, 1, 2, 3. That is a damn good 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, but if you are an opposing team, you better watch the fuck out. Okay? Wrapping it up. Brian Bayo, last year's opening day starter, needs to learn how to win at home. He's pretty good. He needs to be more consistent, but he's pretty good. Number 5, Cutter Crawford. Stop giving up home runs. Please, I'm begging you, stop giving up home runs, all right? That is a damn good 5-man rotation. Now, we also have Quinn Priester in AAA. We have Dick Fitz. And yes, that's it. Well, Richard Fitz, but Dick Fitz. Also in AAA. Then we get Patrick Sandoval back come All-Star break. Now, I'm going to assume somebody in that starting 5 is going to get hurt. We are going to have a security blanket for the first time in a long time. Now, we're going to go back, memory lane, 2013. We won the World Series because of John Lackey, because of our starting rotation. It was not because of our offensive thump, albeit we had some good damn thump. Our starting pitching was the reason we won the World Series in 2013. John Lackey refusing to give up the ball was the reason we won the damn World Series. You cannot argue with me that if John Lackey was not on the Red Sox in 2013, we won the World Series. I don't want to hear it. All right? We need that security blanket in case something happens, and we got it. So I am extremely excited to see what our starting rotation does. And I'm praying to the Hail Marys that we no longer have to see Cooper Criswell walk his ass off onto the mound every 5th day and get his absolute tits blown off, all right? I don't want to see none of this 5th-man relief pitching going 1 or 2 innings. I don't want to see it anymore, all right? I'm tired of it. Have a 5-man rotation. There are even talks of having a 6 to 7-man rotation. Do it. I don't care. Save the arms. You don't need to tally 220 innings pitched if you don't need to. So, we signed Alex Bregman. We signed Aroldis Chapman. We signed Walker Buehler. We traded for Garrett Crochet. Who are we getting back? Because there were a lot of people, as I mentioned, with a lot of injury issues. Well, first and foremost, Liam Hendriks, as I've already mentioned, coming back from Tommy John and cancer, the first person in the history of Major League Baseball to come back from those at the same time. Thank God he survived his cancer battle, and Tommy John sucks, obviously, but cancer is no damn joke. It's been 2 full seasons since he's pitched, so hopefully he comes back as strong as ever. Trevor Story needs to be the shortstop that this team needs. Not offensively. I don't care if he bats 9th and goes under the Mendoza line. We need his defense badly. Because if we don't have him at shortstop, Vaughn Grissom, who's a second baseman, who's going to play shortstop? Are you going to call Meyer up when he's not ready to play shortstop? No, you need him to play shortstop for the entire season. Maybe 150 games. Give him a couple of games off here and there. That's fine. Garrett Whitlock, another person who I aforementioned earlier, who was hurt because they tried to stretch him out. He's coming back. He is filthy when he wants to be. He reminds me so much of Nick Pivetta in the sense that when he's on, he is lights the fuck out. And then most importantly, the following 2 people, Tristan Casas I will give up my kidney if it means that Tristan Casas can play a full, healthy season. He has not played a full season in his major league career yet. If he plays a full season, he might get 35 bombs. He might hit 280. Yeah, he's probably going to strike out a lot. He's probably going to make some old heads kind of uncomfortable because he's a weirdo. But we need his plate discipline and his composure, albeit sometimes he's a lunatic. We need him in the lineup, desperately. And then Rafael Devers is the last one. Get that shoulder fixed, get into spring training, and light the bitch on fire, all right? I want to see you hit 45 and bat 310, okay? We'll talk about the Rafael Devers situation with Alex Bregman in a few minutes. But Rafael Devers needs to be in the lineup every day. I'm not saying he needs to be in the field every day, but he needs to be in the lineup every damn day. Now, where does this lead us into spring training? Because spring training is now, albeit already underway. I was watching the first game, very impressed. Expectations, sky fucking high. All right? I don't care if the Dodgers paid the Queen of England $20 billion all deferred to be their starting pitcher. I don't care. All right? You need to build a team to win championships, right? Be competitive. The last couple of years, we have not been competitive. We are competitive again. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We don't trade for Garrett Crochet if we're not competitive. We don't sign Walker Buehler on a 1-year prove-it deal if we're not competitive. We don't give Alex Bregman $120 million with 30 deferred if we're not competitive. We have the big three coming up, albeit probably at the end of the year. This is our window. Breslow, don't let it shut on you. I swear to God, don't let it shut on you. So we have an insane amount of pitching depth. I didn't even mention Giolito yet when I was talking about the starting rotation. There are so many different options. I do believe that we fixed our interior defense, albeit with the Rafael Devers issues that are going on, and I'll get into what's going on in a few minutes. Our outfield defense is arguably one of the best in baseball. Wilyer Abreu's probably going to win a Platinum Glove. Ceddanne Rafaela, as long as he is playing center field all season, Gold Glove. Jared Duran, Gold Glove. You could have a fair argument with me that every single one of them will be Gold Glovers by the end of the season. Our outfield defense was not the problem. And do me a favor, Breslow, keep Yoshida out of the outfield. I don't care if you want to increase his trade value. I really don't. He's a really bad defender. We have 3 studs. Keep him there. Our bullpen is completely different now. Between people returning from injuries, free agent signings. Expectations overall of this team are insanely high. Last year they won 81 games. Give them an extra 15. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 95. Albeit if everyone stays healthy. Now, if Garrett Crochet blows his elbow out on opening day, that's going to change some things, knock on wood. What this team needed was star power. When we lost Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts, JD Martinez in the span of 3 years, we lost almost all of our star power. Okay? Trading for Crochet, signing Bregman, signing Buehler, signing Aroldis Chapman, albeit I'm not really counting him, that gave us the star power this team desperately needed. That is going to get butts in seats. Now, albeit Fenway has the highest ticket prices out of basically any stadium outside of the Dodgers because they give goddamn everyone money, it puts butts in seats. Now, I'm trying to stay positive, but I do have concerns going into spring training and going into the start of this season, and this is going to be where we wrap up. Our starting rotation is full of prove-it people outside. Well, even Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet has never pitched more than 160 innings in his career. He needs to prove that he can be a full-time permanent number 1 pig. Lou Merloni loves to call him a pig. He is a pig. He is disgusting. Walker Buehler needs to prove that he can be the dude from Game 5 of the World Series, striking out Alex Verdugo and making him look like the bitch he is. All right? We need consistency from Cutter Crawford, Brian Bayo, and Tanner Houck. We can't have the story of two tales from last year where you have an all-star appearance from Tanner Houck and then a 5 ERA by the end of the year. You can't have that. Bayo needs to learn how to win at Fenway, and Cutter needs to stop giving up the damn long ball to damn everyone. I'm pretty sure I could have hit a long ball off of him with the 38 he gave up last year. You can't do that. When I looked at this team, there was one thing that really stood out to me before I get to the Alex Bregman, Rafael Devers problem. And it's our first base position. Now, don't get me wrong. Tristan Casas is a stud. He reminds me so much of Freddie Freeman when Freddie Freeman was young. Except, what happens when Tristan Casas gets hurt again? When he gets hurt, who's going to take his place? Right now, if you were to ask me, I'm going to look it up in a second, but I'm pretty sure it's Abraham Toro, and that's about it. So, my concern is that, he spent most of the season hurt. Oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. Romy Gonzalez, my homie Romy. Love me some Romy Gonzalez, but he is not the answer at first base. Okay? If he gets hurt, you are fucked. I'm sorry. If Tristan Casas gets hurt, you are not going to win the amount of games that you want to win. It's just not going to be possible. Oh my God, wait a minute. Oh, never mind. Okay. I'm sitting here scrolling through the Red Sox depth chart, and all of a sudden I see designated hitter Rafael Devers, and my mind just got completely blown out of the window. But I also see that he is still in third base, so I'm not going to start screaming yet. But that is a really good pivot into my final point, and that is how terrified I am of this Alex Bregman, Rafael Devers drama. You might sit here and say, oh no, it's not drama, Tyler, what are you talking about? You gave Rafael Devers $310 million to make him the future of your franchise. Out of our core that won us the ring in 2018, Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, he is the only one left, okay? You let the rest of them go. You traded most of them. You let Xander Bogaerts walk, who's, albeit that contract's a joke. When your franchise player sits there and says, nope, I'm not playing DH, that speaks volumes about how messed up this situation can get. So let me pull up that clip really quick. Give me 1 second. Let me just share this because it is insane. When your franchise player is in a spring training interview and says, nope, I'm not a DH, I'm a third baseman, that's a problem. And why is it a problem? He is one of, if not, the worst defending third baseman in Major League Baseball over the last decade. All right? He makes routine plays look like they are the hardest thing to do. So it's concerning that he knows he can't play third base. Offensively, one of the best players on the team. He cannot field the position. We sign Alex Bregman, one of the best defenders out there. Played third base his entire career outside of college. Immediately, you're going to start drama. If you say, nope, I'm not switching off of third when the better player is there, your goal should not be, oh, I'm going to make myself look good. I'm going to hit all these home runs, but I'm not going to play third base. Your goal should be to win as a team, Rafael Devers. A team. That means if you need to move to DH to make the team better, move your fucking ass to DH. I don't care how much money you were given to play third base. All right? Move to DH. What does that mean for Masataka Yoshida? Get him off the team. Trade him to the Cardinals for their closer. I don't care. Trade him for a bag of chips. Yes, he doesn't strike out. Yes, he makes contact. No, he's got no pop. No, he cannot field. Get him off my team. All right? So that was a lot. Kind of goes over the Rafael Devers, Alex Bregman situation. Now, Alex Bregman was asked, what are you going to do? Where do you want to play? He said, wherever the team needs me. That is a team player. That is why I said he reminds me so much of Dustin Pedroia. Dustin Pedroia would catch if it meant that a better player could play second base. It doesn't matter. Now, my expectations, my thoughts going forward, we're making it to the postseason. Albeit an absolute disaster, we are making it to the postseason. And my best guess, and we will go over my in-season predictions closer to the start of the season, we're getting the Yankees in the ALCS. And there is going to be some good stuff that happens. But I have yapped for long enough. Thank you for staying this long. Again, check me out on Spotify, X, YouTube, and I hope all you Red Sox fans out there have a wonderful rest of your spring training and a wonderful rest of your baseball season. Adios.